Welcome back everyone to TMP Finance, where we make long and short-term investing simple. Let's talk about the stock market today. We'll talk about the NASDAQ and the stocks surrounding the NASDAQ. But before we get into that and its analysis for its short-term and long-term price action, I want to look at the heat map over here. And we can see that it was a pretty red day for the most part. Google did show some strength, but then you have your market movers like NVIDIA and Apple and Microsoft that moved down a substantial amount here based on the correction that I talked about in previous videos. Now, am I calling a bear market? Absolutely not. Am I calling a bull market? Absolutely. We're still in a bull market, and there's no reason why we wouldn't be in a bull market. You have a series of higher highs, you've beat out previous highs, and we've rejoined a lot of very strong bullish supports that have been supporting the market ever since early 2022, and in very, very clear ways here. Let's take a look at this trend line over here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4 very, very strong touches and very clean touches off that line, so there's no reason why I would believe that this line also wouldn't hold in the in this time as well. So this is what I'm looking for in the short term here. We had this huge momentum over here last week in the stock market, and where we moved from this low over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, we were able to move up 8% in the NASDAQ, which is completely absurd. This has caused a lot of gaps to be made in the QQQ chart as well, and in the ETFs surrounding the NASDAQ. And it's only a matter of time before these gaps are to fill. Because again, you take a look at the way that these stocks have moved up compared to the time that it's taken for them to fall in the same, and it's been much slower when we're falling compared to how we're rising, which is very unnatural in the market. Normally everything is it's kind of like an oscillating wave, as they normally say. You have these series of higher highs and higher lows, and we've had very few higher lows here. We just have just 2 here in the series, where we've moved up almost 20% in that time. So it is a matter of time before we get a correction, or at least a move, or sorry, 30%, sorry, going back. It's only a matter of time before we get a correction and a retest of support. Make sure that all the bulls are on the same page and the market's in the same page, and from there we can start moving higher in the market there. So we have a couple gaps to fill on the QQQ chart. Let's take a look at what those look like over here and how low we can potentially go just based off the futures chart. Before we get into that, we can see that we can possibly move down over here before we touch support. I'll grab my tool here and drag it down. We can still move about 3% down and still be in this bull trend. And I'm not just talking about any bull trend, I'm talking about this rampant bull trend that we're still in. So right now I do have all my money either in cash, I'm holding cash, or I am shorting the market on certain securities as well. Because I'm very sure that this is a very easy 3% to make in the market while you're shorting. Or if that's too much risk for you, you can be making a good upside potential from when we touch support over here, and be making an extra 5% if you wait to buy again at a cheaper price there. But let's take a look at the QQQ chart, as I was talking about before, and take a look at these gaps here. So if we're not moving down 3% based on support and resistance, we can look at gap fills over here, and this gap for sure I do expect to fill before we get all-time highs, and that's a move of 3.8% there. So around that same 3% that I was talking about there, it's very possible that we get like a tail that whipsaws the support, and then we start moving higher from there. So that is what I'm looking out for when it comes to the NASDAQ over there. Now, if you do want to talk about certain supports and resistances and risk levels that you can be keeping an eye out for to dictate if we're going to be in a bullish trend or not, is through here. So we can take a look here at our supports and resistances. If we do break down below this level here at 21,200, that's definitely time to get risk off and start shorting the market or holding cash. Now, if we were to break above this support line over here at 21,700, you are looking to go bullish in the market. And if you do want to be a little bit more aggressive here, we can see that there has been some support over here at 21,500, which could be seen as somewhat of a psychological number. And if we were to get a day candle that were to come and beat over all these other candles by a substantial amount, even while still being below 21,700, you can be looking to go long in the market there, and you are looking for all-time highs there. But right now, I'm expecting a little bit of a pullback, not anything serious, and then a move up, supporting the NASDAQ's all-time highs. Let's take a look at some other securities there that I do believe that we're going to have a big gap fill for. Let's take a look at Microsoft over here. Microsoft has shot up extremely fast. Right after earnings here, we were moving up, let's see here, from market open to market close. We moved up, well, from market close to market open, we moved up 9% in one day, and we've only been rocketing up since then. So it only makes sense that we have this gap fill of about 7% here that will come back and fill, because these gaps here, they don't last in the charts. you can go ahead and take a look back, do your retesting or whatever it is that you do, and you'll see that there is no gap of that of that size that really sticks around. Maybe you'll have one that's maybe 0.5%, but 7.5%, absolutely not. Great time to short the market or hold in cash, wait till we come back and get this touch or this close of the gap. And it doesn't need to be pixel perfect, but something around this area. You can be looking for that 400 psychological number support as well, or resistance, and be keeping an eye out for buying opportunities. People look at NVIDIA over here, and we have a lot of gaps in this chart as well. It's looking like cheesecloth over here. We have a gap to the downside over here. We have a gap over around here as well, from the 108 to the 110, and then you have another gap here at 118 to 120 over here as well. So I can be looking for a gap close of there's also 123 and 124 here. Now let's say that I'm looking for the best case scenario. Let's say I can be waiting for the market to pull back to this 123 124 gap, which is it's already 7% down, and that's a decent amount. Like, that's half of a year's return in the NASDAQ. So it's worth selling your shares at a high price and rebuying at a lower price, because guaranteed these gaps will get filled. These gaps, they don't really stick around like that in the long term there. People look at Meta as well, and Meta is also another stock that has been moving up at an substantially high rate. Take a look here, another gap here from the 611 point to the 620. You have another gap from 559 all the way up to 570, and these are pretty large gaps too. So again, you can be looking for a gap fill at 611 over here, 613, or you could be moving lower here as well. And again, there's not a very clear pattern of higher highs and higher lows, just because the market has been moving up with such volatility that it really hasn't had time to form that oscillating wave shape that I talk about there. But right now, moral of the story, I did sell my Meta, I did sell my Microsoft and my NVIDIA last week, and we made a fantastic killing from there. We made 30% on Meta. We made a solid amount on NVIDIA. We purchased right at the second bounce over here. And in NVIDIA, we were able to make 37%, and Microsoft too was extremely bullish for us. We bought at this breakout over here, and we were able to collect something like 15%, which is still very good. But if you are looking to get entries like that and a lot more clarification of what to do in the future, so you're not, looking at Reddit, looking through all these sketchy sources, not getting good information, not getting clear information, come take a look at the link in description, wap.com/tnp-finance. And from there, we are beating the market there as a community together. And we're currently beating the market by 125%. And the NASDAQ or S&P is currently down, let's see, 0.5%. So we're definitely beating the market there by all means. And you're getting trade alerts there for all the moves that I take, every stock, every index move that I take. You're also going to take profits, stop losses, that kind of stuff, risk allocation. And you will also get free one-on-one sessions for me to answer any question that you have when it comes to stock trading, and so much more. So go ahead and take a look at the link in the description if you are interested in that, because we are crushing the market by a substantial amount, and we're beating the NASDAQ by an average of, let's say, 10 times in the span of about 5-6 months here. So I'm very impressed with our performance there, and I'm very proud for all that have taken a risk on me and follow my trading and have prevailed and come through. So great job everyone there. But that is going to be a wrap for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace out, y'all. Later.